Welcome, friends. It's that time again. Saturday morning, wake up and think clearly with your host, me, Hiram Morno. Yeah, I had COVID from January 8th to January 18th. I was in the hospital and I'm out. This is like my my fifth day out. I'm staying at the beautiful spare room of my brother's house. Sorry for the mess. Okay, let's see who else is showing up. Oh, nobody so far. Okay, close this. Okay. So it's 7 a.m. Saturday morning, January 22nd, 23rd, 2021. Wow. It's a great time to be alive. We got a new president and administration. After some struggle, and still the Trump and the Trumpists are claiming that the election was stolen and things like that. But that's where things go. Okay, so well, maybe he'll want to start his new conservative party for 2024. That's kind of crazy. This is a two-party system. You don't stand a chance, but that would be good. Interesting. But it may make way for a third party to come up. Hopefully not just that third party, but some lefty kind of bit. Adriana. Oh, it's good to see you, Adriana. Unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me okay like this?
Excellent.
Okay, good. How are
Nice
you? You okay?
Yes, nice background you have there.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I was a COVID patient for 10 days.
Oh, goodness. How are
At,
you? Are you coming out of it?
and I'm out of it. I've been in this spare room of my brother's house in quarantine for the past 5 days. But we have another friend.
But you look, I mean, aside from having the oxygen, you're not coughing or anything. So that's good.
Yeah, I just need this oxygen to keep me at a good level. I guess I had pneumonia, or I still have it. Okay. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Vietnam. No, good morning, Rami.
Need a shot. Hello, thank you.
Good morning.
Wow. We have a special guest, Adriana Roldan, and always a special guest, Rami Kuttaineh. Adriana Roldan had been here before some weeks ago, and she's back for more punishment. And Mike, I'm not sure what Mike that is. Could that be Mike the mathematician or a new Mike? Unmute yourself, Mike. Say hello.
Or Mike can remain a silent, mysterious observer.
Okay.
Hiro, how are you?
Thank you.
I'm not sure why my video isn't.
Oh, great. It's Mike the mathematician.
Just making sure Satan's not around.
How delighted we are. His super special guest, Mike the mathematician.
Mike Taylor. You seem so much hardier this week than you did last week. Are you at home now?
Yes. Yes, this is my 5th day at home. Not my regular home, but a spare room provided by my brother in his Longwood home. to keep me from my mother and her caretaker. Actually, they both tested out positive, but they didn't have to go to the hospital.
Excellent.
They may test out negative anytime soon.
I'm going to back out and try to rejoin.
So you were taking care of your mom. They tested positive, but now you're the one that
You want to hear their voices?
kind of had the worst.
Yes, they had minor symptoms,
Isn't that
but I had
I don't
a
see.
lot of coughing and running nose.
You don't handle it.
And headache, but I thought it was just a cold until I finally I went to the emergency room and they took x-rays of my chest and saw pneumonia. Another mic. Oh no, it's the same mic. He's trying to get his, oh, now we can see beautiful Mike. Yes, we see Mike looking up into
The view of your nostrils is perfect, Professor Taylor.
Professor Taylor. Yes. I wonder why he has to look up. His camera, or is his camera up above him, or his monitor is up above him.
So we have an open topic for today.
Now,
Yes, Rami suggested we look at some verses from the Bible.
Okay.
now, Hiro, what has happened to you? I have lost track of you for a while. You're down with the COVID?
Yes, I went down, and I was 10 days in the hospital. They did everything, remdesivir, plasma, steroids. My lungs were inflamed with mucus. And I when I breathe normally, I want to cough. So I'm breathing panty shallowly to keep from coughing, but I should try to cough anyway. That was a normal breath.
Well, I'm sorry you have gone through this. I'm glad you apparently are getting somewhat better.
Yes, I'm at home. I can't get very high. Only 1,000 milliliters. You could probably get 5,000 milliliters.
Okay.
Start to cough. So how are you, Mike?
I'm pretty much the same as always. I'm fortunate, the world has more or less passed me by, at least to this point.
The world as in COVID-19?
As in the COVID-19 and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Hide under the bed.
That's one way.
Yes.
How are you, Adriana?
I am doing good. Had a really nice gathering of family this weekend for my niece's college graduation. She's in California, my sister's Alabama, the other niece is in Texas, and we all got together in Coral Springs.
Wow.
And it was really, really reuniting. It was really heartfelt, good vibes, good loving spirit. So
good. Where is Coral Springs?
It's like north of Fort Lauderdale.
North of Orlando?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, Fort Lauderdale.
On the west side.
I should know that area. I used to live in Weston.
Okay, it's if you take that highway, the Sawgrass, it's by the Sawgrass Mall.
Oh.
You go north from Weston, 45 minutes.
Is it near Tamarack?
It's before Tamarack, I believe. Yeah, before Tamarack.
Oh, so it's pretty next to Weston,
Yeah.
Coral Springs. I
Mhm.
should remember it. Yeah, I love
They
that area.
actually lived in Weston before. But
Yeah, I lived in Weston with my mother. My father retired and got that place in Weston. So I was there from 95 to 2000 until my father died. So my mother and I, we got sold the house and moved to Orlando area, to Heathrow. So we could be
yeah.
close to my brothers who have a company here in Orlando.
Okay.
Mm, construction company.
And then we just closed on a house with my partner, my living partner. We closed on a house yesterday, so we're gonna be moving soon.
Where to?
Claremont.
Oh, that's way out there, way west. In the,
Right now we live in Winter Garden. We're in Winter Garden.
you're close
I
to.
lived in Lake Mary most of my life. I still have a property. My daughter lives in my property over there.
Luis Del Pino lives in Montverde. That's near Claremont.
Yeah, I'm like right on Mount Verde.
Yes, Luis Del Pino and David Norton is in the house. Our regulars, Luis Del Pino and David Norton.
Yeah, I'm here, Iro. How you doing?
Great.
Good morning.
Bye.
How you doing?
You're leaving.
Hey,
I'm
you got Rami and
I'm at home.
Well,
Adriana
you had
and
Rami,
the
but
whole bunch here
actually,
today, huh?
I'm
Mike?
sorry, but my wife has put a moratorium on me being in the same room as Luis Del Pino this morning because she doesn't like the way he pollutes after a period of time. So we're gonna step out. It just won't be productive today if we were even to try. She'll literally power off the machine. So have a good morning, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Until next
Come back
time.
when.
Bye-bye,
Hey,
guys.
hello, Stacy.
I don't even want to hear it.
Come back later. Oh, okay.
Luis, how you doing?
Good morning, David.
Luis, how you
Doing good. How you doing? How you doing?
Why you ask that?
Well, he's the one who's been going through hell and back. So that's the question of the day. How you doing now,
I'm doing okay.
Mr.
Pretty
Jairo?
good. Pretty
So you're
good.
home,
All
Iro.
right.
I tried to sleep on my belly, but I can't
Gonna get some
get
coffee.
get to sleep on my belly. I mean, it's good for me to lay prone on my belly so that the liquids through gravity move towards the front of my chest instead of all in the back.
They got pneumonia too?
Yeah, it got complicated into pneumonia.
Wow.
I
When did
had
you
it
come?
in. I had COVID in July. I have some homeopathic things that might help you. I can text them to you.
Okay, yeah, some people recommend a recipe including eucalyptus. I haven't tried that yet. But then my sister ordered all kinds of products containing eucalyptus. Oh, and I've heard that like a tea with turmeric and ginger is good. I tried that.
But I did it like
Hey,
concentrate ginger, turmeric, honey, lemon, and cayenne pepper is really important because the cayenne pepper lets it stick on your esophagus, so it actually works. It doesn't just go down to your stomach like with a tea, just kind of pooch.
Oh, so the cayenne pepper
It
hangs
creates more
around
stickiness.
in the throat area.
Yeah, it goes down and it kind of sticks to the wall, so it allows the ginger and turmeric that are the ones that are going to kill the bacteria, that they allow it to work in better places, in more places.
Oh, so the cayenne pepper doesn't do the killing, but it keeps the stuff that does the killing in the area you want it to be.
Place. Yeah, it kind of sticks to the walls of your, your throat, and it goes down and it just kind of sticks, and it allows the ginger and turmeric to kind of work better. And
Okay.
I do it. I juice it or squeeze the root of the turmeric and the ginger, squeeze it, and you just do really concentrate, really strong. And I mean, it's hard to swallow, but I mean, I'm used to it and I love it, but I know people that they won't do it. So,
It's like a tea you take every morning or what?
yeah, I make it pretty often, but if I'm sick, then I'll do it concentrate, like I'm telling you. I'll usually just juice it in a juice, just make a juice. But if I have to heal from something, I'll just squeeze it right out and just drink it straight like that.
Wow. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Hyro.
You had COVID and your wife had COVID some month or so ago, right?
Yeah, sort of like Adriana. I had my COVID back in the latter part of June and beginning of July, but as far as the homeopathic type of, treatment that I've found, is the thing is I've relied on quinine, because the thing is they say that hydroxychloroquine or something supposedly does something. So ever since this whole thing came out, I've been taking what they call PQQ, which is a form of vitamin that sort of creates quinine in your system. But then there's a way to take in, you can actually make your own too from orange rinds and also grapefruit rinds too. So I don't know, but for some reason they say that quinine does something. But anyway,
Well, I've never heard of that. So you're saying that quinine helps to make hydrochloroquine somehow?
well, no, the thing is it does something to take and produce quinine in your body. The thing is quinine, I don't know if you know, it's a treatment for malaria. And the thing is, what's happened is they early on found out that hydroxychloroquine is something that is a therapy against this COVID-19, a very effective one. But the thing is that because of the political arena, what they did is they took and they made hydroxychloroquine an element that is really something that harms you. The major media did. So, but the only thing is, on the backside, you have all kinds of doctors that are prescribing it, saying that their patients have been cured because they've taken hydroxychloroquine. Now,
Do they take it as quinine or as hydroxychloroquine?
they take it as hydroxychloroquine. It's a very simple and cheap remedy that it's not over the counter, but a doctor prescribes it. And many doctors have prescribed it. But the thing is, the foundation for hydroxychloroquine is quinine. So, the thing is, just like I was reading yesterday from something I was sent back in July, is that, tonic water has quinine in it, I don't know how effective that is overall, but the thing is, it's like I say, once again, you get down to it and it's proven that this is something that's very effective against COVID,
Wow.
and I wasn't taking it at the time that I got the COVID, but the thing is, when I found out about it, I started taking it, and I think it's been something that's helped me because I'm an Uber driver, and I've come into contact with this, I'm certain, every day, with people who have had COVID or have it or whatever, But since then, I haven't had a problem. But I also probably have the antibodies too. The same as my wife; she has the antibodies as well.
David, is yours something that you put a couple drops only and then you dilute it?
What, in the PQQ?
Yeah.
No, it's a pill. It's an actual pill, but I think you may be able to get it in a liquid form. But all the things that
Mine is liquid.
you use PQQ?
Yeah, mine is the hydrochloride is liquid, and you just use you put 2 drops and you have to
Yeah.
let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you have to dilute it with
I know.
the compound.
Yeah, all the things that you mentioned before, Adriana, I supplement too with, because I think they're all very, except the cane, what is it, the quinine or
Oh, the cayenne pepper.
cayenne pepper. You know, I don't use that, but the turmeric and the other things that you mentioned, the ginger and stuff, is very, very good for a homeopathic remedy, I think, for COVID. I think there's a lot of stuff out there that can really help people, you know, but for some reason, well, now since Joe Biden's in office, they've come out and said, yes, the American Medical Association, that hydroxychloroquine is good. You know, they say that now, but they didn't want to say it though when Donald Trump pushed it through and wanted everybody to have the opportunity to take it, you know. But now it's good because he's no longer around. So
That's weird.
It doesn't
Yeah,
look
that's not weird. That's called propaganda.
yeah, maybe they wanted Pfizer and Moderna to be the primary way to get protection, I guess, or
Well,
they just or maybe
wait.
it's just the FDA that.
Since we're
that
talking
said-
about COVID, did anybody hear the news yesterday about Hank Aaron?
Mm,
Yes.
Hank Aaron died yesterday.
Oh,
Okay. And 17 days ago, he was a poster boy for the new vaccine. Okay. He took his first shot. Okay. 4 days ago, he took his second shot and he died yesterday.
wow.
How old was he?
He was 86.
Mm.
You have a tendency to do that when you're 86.
So did he
Well,
die
I
of
know.
COVID or? I mean, yeah, the question
Yeah,
is,
but-
what did he die of?
Yeah, that's the question. But the thing is, you know, they showed pictures of him getting his first shot and he looked, you know, a healthy 86-year-old, you know. So the thing is, to me, you can't help wonder. And the thing is, it depends on, you know, where you get your information from. But if you search down deep into you'll find that other people have been dying too that have received the hydroxychloroquine that are of older age, that are like him, you know. So the thing
Rami,
is, huh?
Rami's back.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear
Yes,
that.
Rami suggested for us to look at the verse that says, when Jesus heard this, he said to them, those who are healthy have no need of a physician, but only those who are sick. I did not come here to call the righteous, but the sinners who recognize their sin and humbly seek forgiveness. That's the Amplified Bible version.
Jairo, what was the context of that statement?
Yeah, what was going on at that time? That's Mark 2:17. Perhaps
Yeah, like 16 and 18.
let's go back to 16. 16, when the teachers of the law who were Pharisees saw him eating with the sinners and tax collectors, they asked his disciples, why does he eat with the tax collectors and sinners? That make it exciting?
And then what about 18?
Now let's skip 2 forward. And he says, now John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. Some people came and asked Jesus, how is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but you are not?
What's going on here?
And Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot, so long as they have him with them.
So here, Jesus responds twice, and he gets it from one side, and then he gets it from the other side, right? And he answers them straight each time.
That's
that's true.
dangerous.
What's that?
That's dangerous.
What's dangerous?
Answering straight.
Yeah, yeah, got him killed.
But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and on that day they will fast. Now he's going into the coming days or the future. I don't know. Mysterious.
Well, it's not a mystery when you apply it to your own life. I mean, the thing is, when you take and break this down, the whole thing, far as I'm concerned, says a whole lot of different things. Number one, he was talking to the Pharisees, and the thing is, they had everything that was orderly and some kind of law that said that you can do this and you can't do that, and so on and so forth. And Jesus, I think, is just pointing out the fact that you can't live by the laws. You have to live by what exists, what the truth that exists at the time. And the thing is, it's not necessarily true that that people are going to have a problem. I got to see what the content, because the same message gets split several different ways. What was the thing with
Mark
the
2:17 is the central verse shared, and it was the first one out of a one-page document that I was hoping we could go over.
Yeah, I think we should. The one that you put out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Luis, I know that you've got a copy. David's got a copy. Mike and Adriana do not have a copy. But if you want to,
I'm looking at it right now. It's okay.
oh, you've got a copy now too?
I posted
I'm
it.
online. Yeah.
I posted it on Meetup.
Oh, okay. But I see. I pulled it up right away, so I got it.
Good. What were you saying, Rami? That you had a page in reference to it.
Right. That was just the opening line. We could spend all day on it if that's what people want to do. It was part of a one-page PDF that was sent out.
Yeah, I see it. I think it was really good. There's so much information in the context of the teachings of Jesus Christ, and just like this past week, let me share you something that I was involved in. I seen on the internet somewhere that who was it? Donald Trump's pastor, had came to visit him or something, and her name was Paula. So I'm the kind of a guy that I like to know, well, what kind of a pastor is this Paula, So I started researching Paula, and come to find out her name is Paula White-Kane, and she's married to one of the people that belong to Journey, And also she has a church over here in Apopka that she pastors called the City of Destiny. So myself, I had to take and listen to one of her messages, because to me, people in their speech and in their words, they tell a story about themselves, So the thing is, when I listened to her message, I found that it was really founded in the Gospel of Matthew, which is one of the Gospels that I really love, because even though there's 4 Gospels, there's only 2 of the Gospels that were actually written by people that were his disciples. And one is John and the other is Matthew. Luke was written long afterwards. So the Gospel of Luke, to a large degree, there's hearsay in it. And the same is true with Mark, Go ahead, Rami.
How do you know? I always understood, this is what I love about, because there's so much diversity and understanding when it comes to this stuff.
Right.
I always understood Mark to be the first one written. John's the last.
That's what the Pharisees and the scribes would have you believe of the current people, as far as I'm concerned. Because the thing is, it openly says in the Gospels of Matthew and Mark, that it's not in Mark, but in John. In the end of John, it says that the one that wrote the Gospel of John was the one who Jesus loved. Yes. So that would mean that person was an actual disciple.
Right.
And the thing,
I'm referencing and focusing in on the Gospel of Mark specifically.
So what does that mean?
Well, because a number of people believe that the Gospel of Mark is the first one.
I know they all do. It's not the number one, but
it's the shortest of them.
Yes.
And You're saying that it came from the Pharisees, the Gospel of Mark, or that Mark was not a direct disciple? Because I always thought of Mark as someone who was a teenager around Jesus.
He very well could have
during
been a
his ministry on
teenager.
earth.
But the thing is, you see, like there's a lot of things that are written in there. It's sort of like, to me, the propaganda news that we get today. It's no different. Because the thing is, you see, it also says in there, in the Gospel of John, that Jesus Christ was almost 50 years old. Okay. But the thing is,
I don't see that inside the Gospel of John.
it's there.
If
I
you
don't know
can give
the
us a
exact-
specific
I'll
scripture
look it
reference.
up and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I know that you, David, have also read several extra canonical works that list themselves as gospels.
Oh yeah, the thing is I have, because I'm interested, I want to know and hear directly from the people that actually knew Jesus Christ. And the thing is, unfortunately, Mark and Luke are not direct, disciples. But the thing is, Thomas is one, and there is a publication out there that Thomas wrote, and also Mary Magdalene as well.
Okay, so Luke is like a research report, and Acts is part 2 of Luke, right?
That's right.
But I do not include Mark as being not one of Jesus's disciples.
Well, I don't care what you do or not. I mean, that just so you know what I do, the way I interpret it. Because
from all the scholarship that I've studied or researched, the claim that you made to me is unique. That's the first time I've ever heard that. So I'm wondering, is that a statement? I'm wondering where that came from, because it runs counter from the scholarship that
that's come from me. It's sort of like the scholarship. It's sort of like the scholarship that's out there that hydroxychloroquine will kill you. And the thing is, you need to take and do exactly what the scholars say, the doctors, regarding this here COVID thing. To me, there's other ways to go, is to look at common sense as to reality. Okay, and the thing is, Mark is nowhere identified as a disciple of Jesus Christ, except for the book that he wrote, which I believe he's a disciple, a secondhand disciple, you might say. I think he learned from the original disciples, whether it be from Matthew or what's the other one? Matthew or John or Thomas or James. James has got a great book there too that goes right along with exactly what I'm saying to you. So the thing is, in a man's words, they identify his substance. That's why I was so interested in learning and understanding, this past week about Paula White Cain and what her message was, and I was very impressed by it. Okay, because of the fact that she's speaking direct from the gospels that to me are real. I mean, they're all real, but the only thing is, like, if somebody tells you something and originates that authorship, it's up to you to find out what they're saying is really true. So the thing is, you have to investigate it and compare it to other words, so on and so forth, in order to establish its reality. And it has to be real to you, because that's the unique thing about the teachings of Jesus Christ. Because the thing is, you can read the words, but the thing is, until you actually experience the words, they're not real.
Michael Taylor, do you recall the teaching that about the field and about sowing seed into the field, and then the
Talking about
opponent or adversary comes along and plants thistles and thorns?
Yeah, that's parable. That's parable of the sower. That there is chapter 13 of Matthew.
Thank you. So I have to wonder, the idea of Mark not being a disciple, is that a thistle?
No, wait, I didn't say that he's not a disciple. I say he's a secondhand disciple. Okay. Because the thing is, when you have his disciples listed, and they're listed in even in Luke, but the only thing is, what's so interesting is that the disciples that are listed in Luke versus Matthew are different. So the thing is, which one is right? I get into this argument with preachers all the time, So the thing is, well, they come across and they say, well, really, his mother was married to blah, 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 and they go on with their own reasoning, and the thing is, are you going to take and listen to I call them Pharisees and the scribes, or are you going to take and listen to actually what Jesus Christ said and what's actually recorded? And to me, I go along with the words of Jesus Christ as recorded and as they relate to life too. I look at them that they have to, you have to experience life through those words. And I think I do anyway. I don't know if you ever do, but a lot of people do, when they believe in Jesus Christ, because they get redemption, they get, forgiveness. I mean, many, many things happen into their life and they become very real, But the thing is, you can read the Bible too as a like a law book. And when you read it as a law book, it's totally an evil operation, because the thing is, you're designating to other people what that law says to you. It's sort of a form of kindness that is self-destructive.
Yes. There, by the way, what our friend David was referencing in terms of the discrepancy between two gospels, this was the same issue that Carl Sagan had brought up, because in one gospel there's a genealogy, and in another gospel there's another genealogy, and they don't perfectly align. So this is very real. They're different perspectives, giving the accounts to the best of their abilities. We're messengers in clay pots?
Well, we're messengers according to the things that each person has experienced in life, just like Adriana with her holistic understanding of, different herbs and stuff for medical solutions, I mean, we all have different things that we understand. And the idea is to come to share all these different ideas so that we all can take and learn from them. And Jesus Christ was one of the greatest teachers to me that ever lived, because the thing is, if you look at his teachings, he operates on a question, because he's always answering and asking questions, even in that passage that Rami just brought forward. And the only person that has ever been, I would say, greater than Jesus was Socrates, because Socrates did exactly the same thing, and he was killed for the same reason Jesus was.
And Socrates would have been part of the common story available within the lands that he lived in, because Hellenism had already spread through and taken over.
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, there was a Stoic school that was right near where Jesus lived. And there's some scholars that actually believe that Jesus probably attended that school, and that when you take and look at a lot of his work and stuff like that, a lot of it is Greek oriented, and I agree totally.
Okay.
But a lot of people, they don't follow that strain because it's not part of the main religion.
Right. I don't want us to get too caught up in the minutia, because it's really easy to do. I wonder if we can do the large sweeping overview and then drill into wherever anyone has questions.
Okay, what's your suggestion, your overview? I mean, does anybody else have questions or anything that?
Mike has a big smile on his face, so I got to kind of wonder what's inspiring that.
What, Mike?
Just convulsions and twitchings on my part. Nothing significant.
I feel the same.
Well, let's not cause Mike to do any more of that.
How are you feeling, Luis?
Doing great. I'm doing great. I was trying to see where this is leading, because the first question was what's going on here, referring to the verse, and I was hoping to further the discussion. What is going on? What's the question? What's the subject at hand?
Yes.
So I'm curious. I'm curious where we take it from there.
The verse is it sounds like he's saying sick people should get a doctor, healthy people
Don't need one.
And then it
Well, that's a given.
It compares that to sinners and those who don't think of themselves as sinners.
Yeah, I was curious about those two labels. I mean, put together, it sounds kind of it's like tax collectors and sinners, like a
sinners,
big bag of people there.
As in Jesus.
Yeah, it's like
As
those.
Jesus,
Who are those tax collectors and sinners collectively put together? Is like, okay, where does that mean to us?
There's
Tax
a specific
collectors.
reason for that. Would you like to know it?
maybe sinners are people who are seeking spirituality, and so they are more sincere in gravitating towards a teacher like Jesus. And so Jesus is trying to say, yes, I could care less about you tax collectors. I'm here to gain
So they're
some,
not really talking, what you're saying, Hyros, they're not really talking about tax collectors per se,
or people who
sinners
are
per se, but
maybe
it's
tax
supposed,
collectors are righteous people.
it's
Right.
supposed to infer that they're not spiritually oriented people, or
Okay.
the, you
I'd
know?
like to cut through this and give you the answer because I don't
All right,
want
let's do
people
it.
to squirm.
Okay,
But go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, he's really speaking about that. Yeah, that his mission, or what he's supposed to do, or what we're all supposed to do, is just not. We're not there to like heal spiritually, or to be there just for people that don't need it, that are healthy, that are righteous, that have everything they need or they think. It's a spiritual healing. It's a body healing, and that's what he's there for. Is just to be for those who really need to hear him and to be with him. The righteous, or the ones that are that are healthy, or the ones that belong in government, they may not think they need it, and so they may not be open to listening or to be with him. But the ones that do want to be with him and they're open and they need him, that's who he's gravitating for. And I mean, it has nothing to do with a doctor or whatever. That's kind of a way of him phrasing the fact that he's there, to heal spiritually. Anyway, that's my take.
I'd like to provide you with an answer, Luis. Thank you for that, Adriana.
Yes.
To answer your question, Luis, the reason why tax collectors are lumped in with sinners are because the tax collectors are the enabler of the state, well, of empire, which is the man-made
evil
system.
empire of the Romans.
Well, right.
If you want to, sure.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's kind of simplistic, right? I mean, really. But anyway, I'll take that. So it's asking,
kind of like
why is a doctor surrounded by sick people? Because they are the ones that need healing and medication and therapy. But so what?
All right.
Where are we going with this? That's
that was
question.
just a supporting scripture. 2 were shared. Have you had a chance to read the document that I emailed out last night, Luis?
No.
Okay.
But maybe you can summarize it.
In dealing with today's in the world of today, we would relate that to maybe the IRS. We don't like a call from the IRS. We don't like the IRS. We don't like what they do.
Can I let them run?
But it has nothing to do with them personally. That's the job that they're doing, or somebody that has to go and fight in a war and kill others.
Just like the 10 Commandments.
A soldier.
We can resent being imposed those. Who says what? Why do I have to do this or not? We all of us have the power and the freedom to question any authority. That's for sure. That's the only power we have, actually, to use our noodle.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
I've got a document. Jairo, you've got the document.
Is it called The Necessity of the Savior?
Yes, that's the one. If you want to share it up on screen
Did
and
you
go over it.
Did you write it or what?
I wrote it some time ago, at least 10 months ago. And I cannot summarize it because it is itself a summary, and each and every one of those sentences has a very specific purpose.
So we need a savior. No, that's the necessity of a savior.
No, I think, to me, sometimes I think the whole point is being missed here. I really think you have to look back at the foundation of why was Jesus Christ came, why did he speak, period. And the reason was that you can find it in chapter 18 of Deuteronomy. And his purpose, okay, was to come to this earth to present the truth to mankind about life, period. And the thing is, when you take and dig into his teachings, Jesus speaks in parables, and it's openly said in Matthew and also in John that he never spoke without speaking a parable. So the thing is, when he's given this here speech and these words that are given in Mark, okay, they're a parable to life. And the parable I think that is actually meant here is the thing is people who may have problems in their life are the people that are actually sick and they're searching for truth as to understanding. And I don't think that whether you're spiritual or not, I mean, that's been the foundation and also the center of our conversation here for as long as that I've been attending this here group, is where there's a desired understanding of what life is all about and so on and so forth. And we tend to go off in different directions, okay, to learn about it. And I think that Jesus Christ, being born at this time, at the time that he was, he grew up actually in a community, a Greek culture. You know, you never hear that being talked about there, you know, from the scholars that study Jesus Christ. But the reality is that he did. And you know, the thing is, we have to take in context of the culture of that time and the things that he said, not as you know, as law, but as a parable to life, and try to fit them into where they belong in each of our own lives, you know, to me. So, you know, trying to legalize anything that he has to make it be right or wrong, or it's to be interpreted this way or that way, is taking and doing a disservice to each of us that do that. But the thing is to take them and see how they apply to each individual life, then give testimony, because even in this here little short passage, he asked the question. He asks questions. And the thing is, he's looking for answers. He wants to know what people are thinking regarding this topic, you know? So it's, you know, it's all right there as far as I'm concerned, but, you know, it depends on how each of us understand it. And it's important to get each other's views, because that's how we all grow.
Oh,
Very
that's,
good.
in a sense, we could say that we all are that Jesus symbol or person. We all are asking questions, and we all are speaking in parables, right? We all are trying to understand reality, understand ourselves. As a
Well,
matter of fact, you tell me every time that I speak very openly about my worldview, you say, but that's your worldview.
it is.
And I have mine. And Jesus had his worldview. Mike has his worldview. Adriana has hers, et cetera, et cetera.
And each of
So,
the disciples had their own. Yeah.
assuming for a second that Jesus' view is the view, is a step. You know, it's a big step, because we question everybody and everything, but not the figure, the symbol of Jesus. So
Well,
I always try to go behind the veil and go, where is the wizard behind the
Well, the thing is, the wizard behind this veil of Jesus Christ is himself, because the thing is, like I say, he asked the questions. The questions are inside of the content of everything that he says.
So do I.
Huh?
So do I.
Well, I know that's a good thing, you know, and the thing is, the more questions that you ask and the more open you are to explore all these different answers, okay, the more like you might say that you're like Jesus. But the only thing is, you see, Jesus Christ, because people had that same attitude, that same feeling from the beginning, okay? And what's happened is that through prophecy and everything, he was prophesied to come and let people know answers through questions, you know, which he does, you know, and it all depends a person's outlook as to the way that they approach the information that he has there, you know, determines on what you get out of it, period. But to me, you know, like one of the things when people say, hey, I'm a Christian, you know, as I've said before to this group, is I don't ever claim to be a Christian, because if you claim to be a Christian, you're claiming that you have all the answers in life and that you're somewhat of a God to yourself, like Luis does sometimes, you know. But I'm a student. I'm never a person that has the answers. I'm always
I-
looking for answers
Yeah.
to understand life.
So the question and the answer to that verse, can we elaborate on this? Where are we going with that? The answer that well, those tax collectors and sinners are the ones that need the stuff, but everybody else is okay. They don't need to. Is that the core of this conversation?
Just a point of practicality. I suggest, Jairo, you allow someone who's using a desktop computer to share the document. There you go.
Yeah,
And maybe make it larger. Perfect.
Yes, would you? Ooh,
And thank you for muting one of your devices. Is there a question?
I sort of agree with Luis in the fact that I think that Jesus was one of the ones that definitely understood the path
okay.
to enlightenment, the path of truth, to a higher place, and he understood the path as far as our relationship here on earth, while we're on earth, amongst others, but his teachings are the most important, along with a lot of other God enlightening men that have worked this earth, that have taught us and have reached that same level of enlightenment. So
So that Jesus is not a unique figure, because what he represents is wisdom, which is impersonal. It doesn't belong to anybody. So Jesus, in a sense, maybe we could say, is the symbolic representation of the search for understanding and wisdom, the freedom of each mind through itself, for itself, by itself, into enlightenment, the ultimate understanding.
You're making a straw man and calling it Jesus, Luis.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what
you're not watching my food.
Yeah.
Mike, would you like to read the shared screen, the necessity of the Savior, a few paragraphs for
I'm
us?
not sure what you're asking.
Are you able to move over to the shared screen where there's a document showing? Can you
I'm
read
looking
that?
at the document.
Can you read it out loud? 2 or 3.
Where do you
paragraphs?
want me to start?
A note for the Jews.
All right. Tell me when to stop. A note for the Jews. Mary's son came to serve the ill. Mark 2:17.
Well, that's what we were looking at. That's the verse.
A note for all. The Creator made us and decided it was all very good. Genesis 1.
We haven't looked at that, but we have an idea what that's about. In the beginning.
Yeah.
You want to read the next one, or is that too much?
Hey,
Is
wait,
going to-
the thing is, here we're talking about Jesus Christ and his teachings and so on and so forth. When you're talking about go back to Genesis, Jesus does go back to Genesis in his teachings. It begins in John 1. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word is God. The thing is, what he's doing is giving a description of how people have come to evolve with language. This here is very, very important, and that connection also is very important too. But unfortunately, people have taken and assigned, especially the scholars, so-called scholars and scribes and Pharisees, have assigned values to this, that God literally made people out of the ground, and God created the earth and the heavens, which, if you use the definition of Jesus Christ, I am that I am, and look at God as nature, of which is really described in the Hebrew language, okay, then that is all very, very true, because it was all created before any of us came here. So that is not untrue at all. And then it goes on to say that God, brought all these plants and everything that was upon this earth, to Adam to take and give a name to according to its kind. In other words, the event of the word itself had a definition, and that those original definitions that they used in Hebrew have been transformed over many different languages into our own language. So the thing is, like a lot of the things that are in Genesis, it depends on how you take and interpret them as to the reality and how to relate to them in our own lives. But the thing is, without words, period, as it says in John, what do you have? You have no way of communicating except through sounds or whatever. But animals and people have a way of using sounds into their own group with their own language to communicate with one another. We do it by, you can break it down into Greek, Spanish, English, or whatever languages you have, and each one is separate. And when you're talking your language and you don't understand somebody else's language, you really can't communicate with them. And that there is the point, I believe, that when you go back to Genesis and also in John 1 through, I don't know exactly how far it goes, but they're talking about how we communicate. There's a communication form, not a way of, hey, has to be understood in this manner or that manner. So, it's very different. So I'm done.
No, can Mike continue with the "I'm not God"? I like the way he reads.
All right. I'm not God. I presume, by the way, this is a comment by Rami.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Understand it in that sense.
Right.
I'm not God. If God didn't exist, people would invent the word in order to make handle for a class of experience, which is utterly unique. People are divided between those who know and those who know otherwise. God is not under debate. Words exist. Only the natures of their meanings are in question.
Yep.
I'm not God, and neither are you. Until all understand this, then the world will remain in disorder, because the first mistake is thinking otherwise. When once a person determines they are the final authority in any matter and they make a mistake, then what are the consequences?
Good point.
Holy, oh my God. Wow. I just don't know. I'm going to stop. Yeah, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to interrupt. Because my humble opinion, God is under debate, and it is debatable. I mean, we have to start there. You cannot tell me that the hypothesis is not debatable. It's a hypothesis. So I had to disagree right away, because if not, everything else that trickles down from that is under a wrong assumption. You cannot tell me that the word or the meaning or the idea of God is not to be discussed. We have to be able to at least agree what we talk about when we say God, or who we talk about.
I agree, but
No.
it would
I
stay
had to say that. I'm sorry.
I got a different impression
God
of.
created humankind in his own image. And if we want to just base it on that, I mean, you're kind of not giving.
Yeah, I cannot continue the discussion if I don't agree with the premises. I mean, I'm sorry, I have to stop right in there, and maybe I have to step out, because this.
No, I get a totally different understanding of what Rami says.
This is not a discussion.
No, I get a different.
This is a decalogue. This is the way it's going to be from the beginning, and you cannot argue that. But then we can argue about the little things, whether Mark was loved or not, which I thought Jesus loved everybody equally, but no, apparently he had some favored guys. I mean, I have to question these things. I'm sorry, but this is my rebellious side. I am a scientist at heart.
Luis, it sounds like you get the impression that the existence of God should not be in question, but I get an idea.
No, the very definition, whether it exists or not. I've never seen God, so But at least
Or
we can talk about what we think we are talking about when we talk about God, which no one has ever seen.
no, I get a different idea from that whatever Rami says. It sounds like he's saying that that whether it exists or not, man had to come up with the concept of God, and that concept has to be that it's that we're not God, but it's something outside of us. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, let's ask the guy who wrote the stuff. Rami, what did you mean by God is not under debate?
Oh, before I give any answer, I saw Mike smile again, so I gotta wonder, is there anything more than just a twitch behind that?
Well, first of all, I am reminded in this business of discussing who or what God is, I'm reminded of an instance when I was teaching in class once, and I had a whole bunch of students at the board working problems. And I was standing beside some student who was working a problem and had come to some significant revelation in the problem, and he was staring at it, his whole attention fixed on it. And he muttered, "My God." And I couldn't help myself. I said to him, "Yes." He burst out laughing when he realized what I had done to him. But, one of the things that it seems to me when we begin discussing such ultimate things as who or what God is or how we should talk about him is that we are dealing with subjects which in some sense are a great deal more difficult than, let us say, relativity theory or quantum mechanics.
Yes,
Right?
it's fundamental. Yes,
Yes.
this
Now,
debate.
I know how extremely difficult it can be to say something in an abstract mathematical system, and in particular in a mathematical system which applies to something such as quantum mechanics or relativity theory.
Oh, Joel.
So when we get to these topics, I am tempted to, on the one hand, take a lot of the things that we talk about in a somewhat poetic fashion, as images, if you will, as fables.
Mhm.
And I am not going to let myself depend too much on logic, because my feeling is that logic and reason are things that you can use in fairly circumscribed settings, such as, say, physics, and you can get useful conclusions there. But when you get to something of the sort that we are talking about here, I tend to look at what we are talking about very tentatively.
What do you think about this?
Mike, may I add something to what you just said, which is beautiful, and I agree with you. We get useful conclusions from science, physics, to be specific, and we use mathematics to talk about physics. I mean, in the description of reality, we use mathematics, and then we use the regular words to kind of talk about them. But we describe reality with mathematics, very useful tool. But I ask, do we not get useful conclusions from other sciences, less positive than mathematics or physics? For example, psychology and philosophy. Are they not as useful The conclusions that we derive from the study of the mind, our emotions, our impulsivities, why we go to war, why we believe one thing or the other, why we create the idea of the absolute in our minds, etc., and we call it God. Is it not as useful to use conclusions from psychology, the study of the mind, philosophy, the study of extruding meaning from, the chaos of the universe? I propose that those conclusions are just as fruitful and practical and useful if they are indeed for the betterment of the human race, for humanism, for peace, for creativity, etc., etc.
I don't know if they are as useful or not, but I think that we need to engage in their practice because we are, in effect, faced with the necessity to make for ourselves maps of this unknown and threatening territory of existence which lies before us. We have to have some sort of guide that we can use. And unfortunately, sometimes the guides have mistakes in them. But we have to do this.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. We have to map out scientifically and then decide what that means. We have to extrude meaning or meaningfulness from reality, which appears scary and conflicted to us.
I've got to play
But we
moderator
have to be
here.
very careful.
I have to play moderator here to make sure that that no one of us dominates the conversation. I know that Jairo has had ideas in his head, and also Adriana. So I'd like both of them to be able to share. Maybe David, if he has something
Yeah.
he'd like to contribute.
Thank you. Can I go next?
Yes, I think you were the first one to have an idea there.
Yes. I'm not sure what Rami intended by that paragraph, but it leads me to introduce the history of God and or the way Western Europeans have conceived of God versus Eastern people, and in the Indian subcontinent, there's the people that follow the Vedic scriptures, and then there's the people that renounced it, like the Jains and the Buddhists. And I was listening to His Holiness the Dalai Lama talk with some Chinese quantum physicists, and they asked him about what, I'm not sure, maybe something about consciousness or whatever, and what the Buddhism says about this, and the Dalai Lama, he he reminds them that Tibetan Buddhism pretty much brought over Indian philosophy and preserved it, and it goes back several thousand years where Buddhists and non-Buddhists debated with each other over things like they didn't call it the existence of God, but they called it the God or whatever as a creator, and that ties into the concept of anatma and atma. Like at our essence, do we have something that is permanent and goes on and on, life after life, or not? And And then, and so I think that uh, the traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism are like cousins. Like they both study how to attain enlightenment or moksha or liberation, and they use meditations and they use rituals and they talk about karma and reincarnation. But the main difference is somewhere along the line they separated the and I think it's because the Buddhist uh, started with the premise that there's no beginning in time and there's no end in time. So by cause and effect, you would it would require then that there wouldn't need to be a creator God to make this happen. There would be just be causes and conditions that would produce effects. So we could go back forever, and there would be no source of it, anything happening. But then the other philosophy had the premise that there had to be a beginning, and that maybe that's the debate that would require something like a creator to have things happen. So, but I don't know what happened. I guess, yeah, like the Bhagavad Gita is like the Hindu Bible. It looks at God as Krishna and is able to take forms and teach us, kind of like Jesus. And but maybe Buddhism has that, but they call them Buddhas. They come down and teach us. And then Christianity and Judaism and Islam have prophets and Jesus coming down and teaching us. But except that in Christianity and in Islam, there has to be a creator God. So what is that? And how, Rami, how do you define uh, the creator God? You mentioned once that that it has to be all powerful, almighty.
Almighty.
What does that mean? Thank you.
I don't have to have a complete system. I don't think I'm going to make something up on the fly, because if I did, I'd detract from the reality. Almighty is the sufficient word. Adriana, you're next.
Well, I think you know, you're right about Almighty if you believe only what the Bible says. But if you have a good understanding of and an open mind and understanding of all the other teachings from all the other men that have walked this earth that have been enlightened, then I think that we can have a better understanding. And I am not going to say that just by me reading or understanding one philosophy that one man had, that I am going to be 100% um, guided to living my life exactly as that book of that person's perspective was. Uh, because I have to, from my experience and my understanding, is important to me, and to really just give an open mind to all the other teachings, to all the other wisdom that has been presented to us. They're all guides. They're all, you know, they're all godly enlightened. And for me to neglect that, I think that would be unwise. I think Christ had many teachings, and I have definitely learned and continue to learn and follow a lot of the same emotions, because he showed us the path of of enlightenment. But so did the Buddha, and so did Hare Krishna, and um, and if we look back in time, Krishna was the initiator, the first one. So so I'm not going to debate whether there's a God or not, because that's something that I understand, and how I understand my God. That's what's important to me. Um, but for somebody else, it may be something different. It would be just one God. For me, I don't have to have a God, because we're all God. We're all created in the image of God. We all have the power to create. I can say, um, I really don't like this situation. I really don't want to be there. I'm sending to the universe. I'm sending this energy. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I don't take the action. But I just send it out there, and guess what I created? I created an obstacle for myself that's going to put me in the right path. It's going to take me out of the wrong path and put me in the right one, because I created it. Because I was created in the image of God. Now that I work on a daily basis and I forget, and and I live in a mundane life, because that's, I'm just, clustered in a small mind that allows me to do only certain things and be influenced by, politics and religions and opinions and judgment and a way of life, a culture that was created for me. um, yes, it affects me, but if I can understand that I can create and continue to to view that way, and to continue to learn from the people like Jesus that actually understood what that meant. And in this parable, he's saying, you know, whatever my profession is, my dedication will be to those who need me. It doesn't matter what my profession is. My whole existence was to help the ones that need me, and that's what he's doing, and that's what he's teaching in this parable. And I think in any religion that applies. Whatever you consider God to be, that is the teaching here. So that's my take anyway.
Will I get a turn now? To me, I thought Rami did a very good job putting this thing together. It says, I am not God. Especially this part that says God is not under debate. Words exist. The thing is, the way I look at life after studying the Gospels and the Bible and everything, is that everything is all about words. And the words that come out of the mouth of each of us tell everybody that hears those words where we're at. Before, Mike and Luis were talking about some kind of mechanics, and Mike was into mathematics and Luis is into whatever he is. And the thing is, there are words inside of both of these men, as well as myself, that they use to take and describe the things that they know, that they're familiar with. But the thing is, in the following sentence here that Rami put out, only the natures of their meanings are in question. And the natures of their meanings and my meanings that are in question are the things that they're not familiar with, that I may be speaking, or that Luis may be speaking, or Mike may be speaking, or Rami may be speaking. So the thing is, what separates us all is our own understanding of the things that each one of us know that is so very, very different. So the thing is, you can, like I say once before, you break it down into different languages. And the thing is, the other day I heard, the guy, Tim Cook, I think from Apple, saying that we want to educate all these young kids in learning how to code. Well, the thing is, all young kids are not going to learn how to code. But the thing is, inside of code itself, okay, which is, I guess, a science, you might call it, okay, there's a communication, there's an understanding, that brings out a kind of understanding for those people that do this, in a way of thinking. And the thing is, if we could take and just understand that each person, according to the things that they understand in their own lives, okay, we may not be familiar with. But the thing is, we can take and have respect for them, to listen to them and possibly learn from others, from the words that they speak that we actually question. But the thing is, when we do speak, and when we do speak, these words actually become our own gods in our own lives. And they control the things that we think and the things that we say and how we live our lives. So words, in a way, as he was saying, God is not under debate. The words exist. The words that exist in our own lives actually, to me, become my own God. And Luis, he openly declares this, which to me is not wrong, but what it does, it sort of confines himself and anybody else that, you know, really believes this into their own words of, into their own life, period. That's all I'm going to say. So that's my 2 cents.
David, you are also God.
No, and I don't look at myself as God, because if I did,
but you don't think so. I say I am God, although I should say I am reality. I don't like to use the word God because it has a lot of, but I always use reality. I always say there is one reality, infinite and eternal, no beginning, no end. Yesterday, I'll give a quantum mechanics parenthesis here. I was listening to a French physicist that was explaining why there is no beginning in time. And he explains the string theory that has come up with a good theory. Well, actually, it's not a theory because it cannot be demonstrated or proven. But the idea is that in the beginning, the point where reality was one point, no volume, infinite density, and infinite temperature. They say that there is no, in reality, there's no infinite temperature and infinite density. So at some point, you stop from going to zero. So there is no beginning. There's big crunches and big bangs. Crunches and bangs.
Luis? Why is
because
important?
if there is no infinite density or temperature, there is no 0 point, which is what we call the beginning, before there was anything, time or anything. That's important because that's important because it takes away the belief in something that was there before.
I think you would have to understand and have had some sort of understanding and learning what the basis of Buddhism and Hinduism and Hare Krishna to be able to understand these concepts.
Yes.
If I've only studied the Bible, then I could not understand everything that's being discussed here. But I had to go back and look at the name of the group. It's a Buddhism group, and so I don't have just knowledge of the Bible written by the disciples about what their view or judgment was, an experience of Christ on earth. Yeah. In this group, we have more understanding, not just of that, but also of Buddhism's path of enlightenment, of Hinduism path of enlightenment, of Hare Krishna.
Adriana, you're mentioning the Eastern philosophies. They talk a lot about the 3 characteristics of reality: anicca, dukkha, and anatta, which is impermanence, constant change; dukkha, which is our psychological, Vietnam, that has to do with being; and then the anatta, which is nothing really is. There is no owner to reality. There's no owner to our thoughts. There is no owner anywhere. We're just a process of dynamic change. And within the process of dynamic change, of course, there is a beginning and an end. Like the body, my body has a beginning and it has an end. It's created, 2 little cells or 1, I don't know exactly. I'm not going to go into the science of it, but I, as a body, arise, and then I dissipate.
Okay,
But
Luis.
that happens at infinity and eternity. That means that the dynamic process of change is in itself infinite and eternal.
Okay.
Yes.
Two things, and I'm not playing moderator because no one asked me to, but I do want Mike to be able to share because he had some thoughts. I do want to say two things though. The universe at its start point does not have to be infinite or eternal, and as you, Luis, are finite, the universe and reality can be too.
That's what science is saying is not the case.
Well, depends on which scientists you're talking to, Luis.
Yeah, well,
Let's give Mike an opportunity, though.
I'm not sure I have anything to contribute at this point.
That was probably my failing of not stepping in and being a better moderator. But
can you add Joe? But you can call me Joe into the discussion. He's from Toronto. He joined half an hour ago. He's hopefully he's been listening and got some ideas to contribute.
Good morning, Joel. Joe.
Joe.
Good morning, Rami. I have been listening, and I've decided to become a Buddhist monk. So
you make a very happy Buddha, Joe.
but
nice to see you.
But Nianita wouldn't help me with my haircut, so I have some spots in the back. She wanted me to keep my hair long, and we had a little discussion. And I won, but it was what they call a Pyrrhic victory. She didn't help me. I've got some splotches, and anyway, it's good to see everyone. Jairo, I'm assuming you're home now, I hope.
No.
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm happy to hear that. And Mike, is that you, mathematical Mike? I'm just trying to orient myself.
I think so. This may be a topic for more philosophical discussion.
Okay, I'm trying to get the players together. David, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you,
Adriana, I think I have only met you once before, maybe never before.
Yes, once before.
Just once, okay. Rami, thank you for taking on the host function. Jairo runs this group with an iron fist, but he's a little under the weather now. And Professor Del Pino, always a pleasure.
Always.
Always. So I'm not 100% clear on what the subject is, but I learned something yesterday from a friend of mine who's from Nigeria, who lives in Los Angeles and is a pharmacist in Los Angeles. So I have this screen. Maybe I'll show it to you if I can find it. So one of these virtual backgrounds. I don't know where the heck I put it. And I thought I knew what it meant. Well, here it is. Well, did that come through? No. It says that can you see that? If I move my head out of the way?
Yes.
No one shows a child the sky. And it's an African proverb. And I never really understood it. I thought it related to the, somehow to my game. And he explained to me that he felt the real problem in Africa, and he wants to go back and help his village and his people. He has great, at least in my opinion, great intentions. But what I realized is that there are things that are apprehended by the individual that cannot be applicable to every other individual. So his unique mental perceptions about the problems of Nigeria, because he belongs to the California Pharmaceutical Association, the American Association of Pharmacists, and the Nigerian Pharmacists Association. And he goes to all their annual meetings, and he felt that a lot of the problems in Nigeria are related to the fact that they begin their annual meetings, which is a secular organization, by invoking praise for God. And he feels that that's holding them back from development. None of the other places in the world. And he wanted to go back, and he raised these objections, and all of his family said, you know, you can't change those things here. We have established patterns, and trying to get rid of the corruption that's endemic. And I've been watching, you know, a series of TV program called Ozark. I don't know if any of you have seen it. And thank you for referring me to Queen's Gambit, Luis, and searching for Bobby Fischer. And the corruption is no less here in North America. It's just masked a little differently, massaged differently. In one scene, they buy a funeral home to dispose of the bodies. I don't know if you are involved in that trade, perhaps only indirectly, but it's very interesting. Anyway,
we just build the cremators. We don't.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do too. But
we make machines.
There's some paperwork in between that seems to get lost in more cases than we realize, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry if I digress too much. It's not a very high level discussion, but it's great to have a moderator.
Thank you, Joel. I always enjoy your perspectives and your stories. You're of a Jewish background, but not a profound practitioner, perhaps. But
I think
attend. What's your concept of God for you? And
well,
has it helped?
I have a holy trinity of beliefs, and I believe in God, love, and rock and roll music, but not necessarily in that order. So that's as close as I can come to it. I like music, rock and roll, R&B, even I'm developing a taste for country and classical. Love is not love that alters when it alteration finds or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is ne'er shaken. And God is amazing, but I just don't know what he or she or it is.
Guys, Joel, very good point there, where some people feel that invoking or praying to God in a meeting precludes from better developments, understanding, solutions, and everything. Because it's already 8:30, I'm going to have to go. But this brings a very important question, which I think could be maybe the next Zoom discussion, to talk about magical thinking in psychological terms, define and understand what we understand by magical thinking, with a sub question: is faith or believing God, can it be considered magical thinking? And how does that trickle down in our lives, the way we understand things, the way we live, what we eat, how we work, how we get along with people? So maybe we could make the next Zoom discussion into magical thinking. How I would like to ask everyone here what they think about this idea.
Oh, but before we state that, let me just make clear, because I don't want a mischaracterization to take place. I have approached this document from a rational, not a magical point of view. So could it be? Yes. Is this that? No.
No, I was not talking about your document for sure, Rami. I'm just talking about the concept in general, because we always are going back and forth in these meetings about a little bit the understanding of reality by each human mind, how we have our worldviews, each one of us, how we understand the world. And to me, it's always, here, this is a good case. We're talking about mathematics, physics, psychology, philosophy, and we're discussing the Bible and what the parables and the beginning. And so I'm always questioning the question. Was there a beginning? Is there a God? What do we understand by God? Because we've never seen it. So it's like talking about the empty space or ground zero. What is that? How do we define it? So, and Joel just hit it right there on the nail. How does praying or faith or any magical thinking, and we can subdivide them and see if one is and one is not, can we put them all in one big bag? I wanted to make a discussion about magical thinking, what we think it is. Can we have magical thinking in science, for example? Can we have magical thinking in psychology or in philosophy or in religion or in if we think we're going to hit the jackpot because the numerology tells us so. So I wanted to maybe put on the table the discussion about magical thinking. And I would like to know everybody's opinion about that. Is this a subject that would be of interest?
So the answers to your question are all yes. And Jairo, would you please scroll down on the document since Luis needs to go? There's one section remaining, and I want him to have this opportunity because it helps complete the frame.
About there?
Yep, that's it. This is the end. And I think you'll perhaps agree with this, Luis. Would someone read this for us? Maybe Luis, would you like to?
I'm not sure I can read it because it's too small on my phone.
Oh, any volunteers?
I can
Yeah,
read.
which part do you
I
want?
can read it, or go ahead, David.
Well, Adriana responded first, so she wins.
Okay.
Phenomena such as certain beliefs are either true or untrue. Religion is epiphenomena, a secondary effect of byproduct that arises from but does not causally influence a process. Believing God is necessarily the product of a first-hand experience. Has everyone had such an experience so as to believe in God?
Perfect. This is talking about really the same thing that Luis is, phenomena, which is magic. Okay, the only thing is, I think that Rami took and he did an excellent job putting this thing together. And the thing is, too often we look at only topics in one-dimensional thinking. And Rami has taken this and looking at it in several different ways. This whole thing is, I think, quite a piece of work myself. But phenomena is things that are happening that seem to be magical, and they go right down the same line as what Luis was talking about. And the thing is, I think it'd be a very good topic.
All right. So thank you, Rami, for showing that last paragraph. My personal experience is the more I look at phenomena from the scientific, rational and measurement perspective, the less I consider the idea of God, G-O-D, and more I see reality as it is, scientifically, phenomenology. As a matter of fact, phenomena are real. There's not magic in phenomena. What is. I mean, unless you're saying that the whole of reality is a magic trick. So I go exactly the opposite way, and this is where this discussion about magical thinking could clarify these positions. Always, of course, understanding that each one of us thinks in a way, so our own worldview is relative to others, while I don't know how absolute it might be to each one of us. So I think this would be a great a subject of discussion. Magical thinking. I mean, are phenomena magical, for example? And what do we consider? What we have to define the word magic and thinking.
Rami, can you explain to me the difference between phenomena and epiphenomena? Is phenomena something that can be verified scientifically and people come to a conventional understanding, and versus epiphenomena is more personal, perhaps?
Well, epiphenomena is something that either can or cannot be confirmed scientifically because we may or may not have the tools to do so. Phenomena is a second order effect.
And what's the first order? What is
The
the first
phenomena.
order effect?
The
And what is
phenomena.
what is the first order effect?
Phenomena.
Oh, so phenomena are the first order effect, right?
Well, no. Phenomena is phenomena.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about this, Rami. The thing is, epiphenomena, when you look it up, epi is a prefix for a Greek prefix, okay? And what epi actually means is something that's upon or on, or something that's superimposed. A phenomena that has been superimposed upon a person that only the person can take and realize. And if you like, I can give you an example of this exactly last week in our discussions of different things we were talking about. Because right at the very end of the conversation, I mean, at the end, I had to cut out because I got a call from my sister-in-law saying my brother had just passed away. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you recall, but earlier in the conversation last week, I had mentioned the similarities between the fact that Iro and also my brother were in the very same hospital. The thing is, a phenomena that actually happened throughout the day. I'm an Uber driver. The very first ride that I had took me right past the Winter Park Hospital, okay, in Winter Park. And that's where Iro was, where we were having the meetup. And also my brother passed away in that same hospital. And it was really sort of odd too, that at the very end of the day, I had a ride that once again took me right past the Winter Park Hospital. You know, and to me, this here is a phenomena, a superimposed phenomena of something that exists, okay, that is something that I will never forget. Some maybe say that, you know, that this is the Holy Spirit or this is God that created that. But the thing is, it only has value to me and not to anyone else because I was in the midst of that whole phenomena as a whole. And to me, phenomena do exist. And like he's talking about magical different things, I think you can almost put all these things in the same basket, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to share that at the end.
So David, could I summarize your distinction between phenomena and epiphenomena as that phenomena, it can be verified scientifically and the community can come to a conclusion about it, but an epiphenomena is what meaning we give to what appears in our mind. So
yeah, that's true.
in your case, you went by the hospital several times and you gave it meaning, or
Right.
you tried to, or you're still not sure, but you think that that those arisings, those effects have something behind them that are significant only to you somehow, and so
Right.
you're finding you're striving to find meaning in there.
Right. I mean, to me, the thing is, there's a communication that goes on with people, period, with nature. Nature talks back to you. To me, Jesus Christ and his words, they come back to you through wisdom, through different applications that we all experience, how we experience those teachings on a daily basis in our lives, if we're willing to look for it. But I mean, the thing is, if we close it out and we say, you know, that Jesus said just fables or whatever, you never understand any of the what do you call it, the Holy Spirit or whatever, these little different things that happen in our lives that just show us that, to me, that there's something more there than, you know, what I believe and also coincidence. A lot of people write these things off as coincidences. but I don't, because the thing is, it happens far too frequently with me, and to me, there's something there. What it is, I don't know, but to me, there's some kind of existence. I think the power is in the words that we all speak and that we all think and that we all do and that are part of our lives, whether we believe in Buddhism or, Greek culture or Christianity or Hebrew or Muslim. It really doesn't make it.
Joel has his hand up. Would you like to contribute something, Joel?
Yeah, if it's my turn, I will.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Your turn.
Yeah, David, I think I really like this, Rami, this phenomena and epiphenomena. And my understanding, and I don't have a formal background, I'm not trained in philosophy, I don't speak any foreign languages. I've been forced to learn a few Greek phrases because of my attendance at different philosophy groups. But phenomena, I think, is what is used as a generic term to describe something that exists in nature. So this is what is. And an epiphenomena, according to what I'm understanding from this paragraph, which is very thoughtful in my opinion, is the meaning that we collectively or I individually may ascribe to that phenomena. Phenomena is what might be ascertained, shall we say, scientifically, that people that use the various modalities of science could tell us if there's one or two of these phenomena, and different people would do it. So I see this sort of in a philosophical sense, like the difference between Mike as a phenomenon that I see and hear and experience on the screen, and Mike's reputation in my mind, which is separate and apart from Mike, and which he may or may, he has no control. According to the Stoics, he has no control over this. My impression that Mike is an academic, an intellectual. From my previous meetings, I understand he has a background in mathematics, none of which I doubt. I don't have doubts about that, much like David may not have doubts about Jesus as being a framework for viewing his life experience. So I don't know if that helps. And I think what Luis is terming magical thinking is epiphenomena. So if David's view of the world on the prism of his Christianity, which although I don't share it, I respect it, would be what Luis might prefer to refer to as magical thinking. And I would recoil from that to the extent that it may have a pejorative connotation. Magical to me conjures up images of people who are doing hand movements, sleight of hand, something that's fake. Whereas I think David's belief is sincere. And I don't know if that helped or hindered the discussion.
That was great.
I really appreciate David's sharing of his experience and also Joel's interpretation of the reading. I do think that yes, David is passionate about and dedicated to his emphasis on life's experiences based on only Jesus and only as an experience through what God wants him to experience and how Jesus has led a path for him to lead it. As that last question, has everyone had such an experience such as to believe in God, and that belief in God is necessarily a product of a firsthand experience. In understanding that we are all made in God's image, we are basically all creators, and it's not just about our humankind, but understanding that trees, animals, the universe, the sky, the planets, outside the planet of our planet, and up to its most infinite respect, that we are all in one godly universal energy. That we are, so our energy, our godly energy, the energy of the universe, the plants, the animals, the thoughts that we have, they all work, together. They all come together. So when we have this godly experiences, they are a manifestation of our energy. They're a manifestation of the world's energy, of all the energies coming together. And the point in where we understand that we are a part of everything. And like walking through the forest and understanding that we are part, that having that emotion, that feeling that nature is like hugging you. Because that's exactly how it is, that's who we are. And having that unity thought and not separation thought, that their nature, we are human, that's God. No, it's not that way. We're all one. There's no separation, and it's the separation that causes separation. The separation of thought, that's the conflict right there. If we didn't have, we all have our opinion about religion, but it doesn't matter what we think, because we're all same and equal. We're all in the same path, and we're all together, whether we want it or not, whether we like it or not. And we came to this earth by means of birth, and we're going by the means of death. And I believe that yes, that I have other paths to live, and that I've lived other paths. There's things that I know that I don't know why I know, or there's things that I do that I'm not sure why I ended up doing them. But I don't feel I'm disconnected by being in this earth in this lifetime, or I'm not disconnected from nature. I'm not disconnected from animals. I'm not disconnected from this earthly life, from any other planet life or any other universal energy. When I look at the stars, they're not over there. They're within me. They're part of me. So anyway,
that's beautiful. Thank you, Adriana. Can you clarify what you mean by energy? Because coming from a scientific engineering background, I look at energy as related to matter, like E equals mc squared. So it's very physical. But your energy, I suspect must be related to consciousness, something spiritual.
Well, scientifically, I mean, they have named the most minimalist point of energy as being God energy, because they couldn't think of any other way of relating it. So then you have a connection there between science and God. But when I say energy, really, I am talking about love. Love is really, for me, the basis of connectivity in all matters.
Okay, I would equate that to like a universal consciousness, or
it is
altruism or something.
Yeah, and the lack of love, or the emotion of love, leads the conscious to whichever path. So for me, if I base whatever thought or whatever energy out of love, then that's the energy I'm going to create in my life. If I base it on a loving energy, then that's the energy that I'm going to create in my life.
Rami, would you like to finish off by reading perhaps about the author?
That's not necessary, although the quote at the end of that document is, I actually got that by way of my mother, and apparently I've been told it came from my father. So that quote at the very end is very nice. But I want to share just, I didn't come to this discussion by way of the Hyro's Buddhism group. I came to it through Central Florida Philosophy, another meetup group that Hyro hosts, and then he shares this there, and really directly through the Zoom app, because Hyro and I are longtime friends, and I didn't have to go through Meetup to find you guys. But I wanted to give reference to, because a lot of these are in framings, and a lot of it is philosophy. I wanted to give reference to just 2 lines, a very brief bit of dialogue between 2 characters from Huxley's Brave New World. And this is between Mustafa Bond and John the Savage. I don't know if anyone's actually read the book, or maybe probably at least heard of it. But at one point, Mustafa Bond, he's referencing Main de Biran. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He says, he was a philosopher, if you know what that was. And John the Savage replies promptly, a man who dreams of fewer things than there are in heaven and earth. So I've always taken that as a warning not to just be a philosopher in life, because all you're really doing is limiting yourself in that process. So if we're going to end on anywhere, I guess we can end on the quote. It matters less what you profess to believe than how it is that you actually treat people.
You know, the thing is, I'd just like to say one thing. You know, I hear the word love mentioned, and everybody uses it all the time, you know, saying that I love you and this and that and everything. But the real problem sometimes I see in this, everybody wants everybody to be kind to each other. But unfortunately, we all have a different definition of kindness and love. So the thing is, when we go to love somebody and we give our opinion and say, hey, you know, I think you should do this or that and everything, and it doesn't agree with the person we're talking to, right away, instead of coming forth with love, we're coming forth with something that's quite not acceptable to that other person, even though it's intended to be given in love. So, you know, the thing is, too often, you know, we use these words like love and kindness without really understanding, you know, what the context of them actually are and how they actually function in life. You know, because the thing is, everybody is a representative of the words they speak. And whether we want to realize it or not, the words we speak become our only gods, or the way we interpret God, or whatever it may be. And I think that respect is far more important than love, because if we can take and allow, like we do here in this conversation on Saturday mornings, everybody to speak their piece, and everybody has so many different opinions, we all become students of each other, and helps us to grow in a much better way in life and to see things in different ways. So.
I've stayed much longer than I thought I was going to. I was leaving about 45 minutes ago, but I couldn't detach. Adriana, you said something that struck me also when you said that I have lived other lives, or I don't know exactly how you phrased it, other existences.
Yeah.
But before that, you just said that we are all one. And if you put those 2 things together, that means that not only you have lived before, you are living now, and you will live in the future.
Yeah.
But that means that you and I and Jairo and everybody else and the whole planet is living at the same time. And that goes to the idea of anatta, which means that you and I are the same thing, but the whole reality does not have an owner.
Right.
It just experiences itself.
Yes.
It's autotelic. So it was a beautiful thing you said, and I agree 100%. I'm just taking it a little bit, you know, at the universal level, the cosmic level.
Thanks. And
So there.
in the version of love, love is an energy, and it's not something that we do to influence others in thinking how we think, or to tell them, you know, that they should do whatever we think they should do. I mean, love is just loving the person as they are, just being there for that person, or just being there. It doesn't require you to do anything.
Enjoy yourself. Let others enjoy themselves without hurting yourself or others. If we do that, we are this is universal love. You do what you want. I do what I want. We don't hurt each other or ourselves. That's love right there with a big capital L. So yeah, you have to understand others. You have to respect them. You have to let them do their stuff. But if everybody does that without hurting themselves or others, then you have paradise on earth. That's my parting words, my dear friends. I thank you as always. Thank you very much. Always very enjoyable. It's beautiful to have conversations where everybody can express their worldviews, compare them, study them, discuss them, and still come back saying like, "Hey, this was great. This was full of love."
Right. Very good.
Okay, guys, we'll see you next Saturday. And if you think magical thinking is a good subject of discussion, let's go into that. Let's do our homework and throw all the meat on the grill.
Sounds good to me. I'm going to depart too, as well as Luis. It's been nice seeing everybody that's here, and you know, usually though I like to hear a little bit more from Joel because he's so quick-witted about so many different things that I didn't hear that today. Just a little bit.
We can have an after-time discussion for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to go though. I have to leave. So nice seeing you all. Thank you.
All right, guys. Jairo, you
Always
take
a
care of
pleasure,
yourself.
Luis. Always a pleasure,
Same here.
David.
Take care of yourself, Jairo. Don't do anything
Thank you
stupid.
for showing up and contributing.
All right.
I'm
Take
very
good
grateful.
care.
You're looking a little stronger, Jairo, than last week. So you feel like you're getting better. Are you still exercising your lungs with those thingamajigs?
Yes, I get annoyed when I inhale deeply. It causes me to cough, and it annoys me. But I should keep trying to do that more and more. Thank you for your concern.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm
Thank
really
you, Joel, for showing up.
Oh, not at all.
Always a pleasure.
Nice to see you.
You're going to get there, Jairo. You're going to get to health. It's just going to take longer than you may want it to, which is going to be an excellent opportunity for you to develop in ways. I'm concerned, and I had to wait until Luis left because I didn't want to take up his time anymore. But there's this essential understanding that I think is missing. And I think that without that essential understanding, it's possible to fall into the illusion of thinking that you can create a heaven on earth, while at the same time being blind to the pain that you cause others in the process.
Yes, perhaps Luis is fascinated by making it all fit intellectually, and perhaps he does have experiences, but he then tries to express it intellectually and and try to replace the word God with reality, and to make it less personal and more scientific. But yes, perhaps he does have an experiential feeling about God, but he calls it reality. It's just it sounds strange for us when he says that he is God and you are God. That sounds blasphemous from a Christian background. I don't know.
It would be to a Judaic background too. I mean, that's what
Judeo-Christian background.
Well, or
because
Islamic
of,
one.
The Hebrew people used Jehovah as kind of a warrior god. I don't think they started off thinking that this warrior god Jehovah is also the creator. I think the creation story in the beginning comes from Babylonia or or Zoroastrianism or whatever was there and adapted. And somehow it ended up by the time of Moses to exclude all other gods. And from there, it became monotheistic. And that influenced Christianity and Islam to be definitely monotheistic and destroy all idols that that came across, and to not have images of God or of the Prophet Muhammad in Islam. So it just became more and more fixed and rigid.
So,
whereas in Eastern religions, there's just gods everywhere, or Buddhists everywhere, and holy beings everywhere. It's just a buffet of gods, and they they may, like Hindus say, that these are only a manifestation of one God, and Buddhists say, well, there's no beginning, so we really don't need to have a God create all this. It just has always been there.
okay, so
and Chinese people don't care either way.
Right. Well, you know, you got to get rich. That seems to be the current ethos that's predominant in that, to a degree, at least for the last 40 years or so. But the thing about the idea that I am God is nothing new. Pharaoh thought he was God, and he would think that because he was God, you know, that kind of thinking becomes like we're the real people. If you remember at the end of The Grapes of Wrath, where Mama, we're the real people. The rich people, they're not the real people. That's coming from a poor perspective, thinking they're the only real people and the rich people aren't the real people. Pharaoh can be like, we're gods, or there could be whole sets of people who believe we're gods. And by what they mean by that is they're saying we're the real human beings. Those other beings in the form of being human beings aren't the real human beings. They're just animals in human being form. And we can...
I disagree.
Well, I disagree with that too, that idea, but it exists.
I disagree in the fact that in saying that I'm God, I'm saying I was created in the image of God, and we were all created in the same image. We all have the ability to create. We are spirits, and the same as in the Bible says, you know, we talk about the spirit all the time, but we just don't have an understanding. For me, you know, yeah, like in Buddhism, there's many gods. They're all one God. It's just a manifestation. Like, you know, an architect's an architect, an engineer is an engineer, a mathematician is a mathematician. We all manifest our highest abilities, you know, in different ways. We are, you know, we have perfected certain abilities in different ways, and it's a matter of you know, understanding what our spirit, you know, has been empowered to do. Sorry, go ahead.
You're ready to go. Give me 5 minutes.
Joel, what do you think?
Well, I wonder if Rami has really read 76 books on Goodreads.
Probably.
I know.
I believe I
I
tend to believe he has.
I'm so sorry.
You want to be more. No, I'm sorry you ingested a demon, but you need to stop.
I apologize. There's a lot to get back.
Ow.
So
I hope the nurse brushes
if anybody's
with you.
interested,
Sorry.
we have an
And also bring back my...
Ow. I hate
Are we all muted? Does anybody hear anything?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So, yeah, this was really great, Rami. It was really nice to meet you. I was asking people if you've really read 76 books on Goodreads. And are you currently working on Heidegger?
Don't worry.
Yes, the first 3 sessions were recorded and are posted at the Central Florida Philosophy Meetup YouTube channel.
He
Okay.
can hear his God now. No worries.
Oh my goodness. Adriana, I'm sorry I'm also a caregiver, so I had to step out a couple of times, once to make my wife breakfast and other times take her to the bathroom. So I'll have to catch the fullness of your statement on the YouTube archive. Thank you. Thank you, Jairo. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it's reductivism that I think is the enemy, because when you apply it, and it's very predominant, it took over a lot of science, reductivism did. What it does is it blinds the practitioner. It blinds the practitioner to the evil that they may commit.
Okay, well, reductivism is a new word for me. So it's something else to think about, as if I don't have enough. But if anybody's available this evening at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, there's a multilingual meetup group, and we'll be playing Darwin. So we have a Go champion from Beijing who will see the game and attempt to play it for the first time. And maybe I'll get some insight into whether or not it is truly as mathematically complex as some with greater mathematical abilities than mine say. If anybody's available, I'll be happy to send the link, or you can look it up yourself, 7:30 p.m. on Meetup. The fellow that runs it is from China. He's an American English-speaking physician living in Washington, but he does this as part of just what he likes to do, is have different languages and people with different cultures exchanging with each other. And I believe this is this Go champion from Beijing is a distant relative of his. It's a younger person, but he's completely English fluent.
Joe, if Jairo blesses this use, could you go into the event listed for Central Florida Philosophy Meetup and paste the link to the meetup where we can get to the Zoom or however it is that we're connecting?
Yeah, I'll try and do that. Yeah.
Can we put it in this chat here? Because I'm.
Let me just look it up. If you're going to be here for a minute, I'll have to look it up. I think I can find it. I got so many screens open here. Let me see. Let me go to Meetup. Yeah, I'd love to have your feedback if you're available. And it might be interesting to watch, because the theory is that I've spoken with people who speak chess, who play chess, and those who are, what was that new word that I just should have learned, but I've already forgotten?
Reductivism.
Okay, I did remember it. Good for me. They dismiss out of hand that Darwin is as complex as chess, and others tell me it's more complex. And yet it only involves a board of 17 pieces. And I've discovered that it has a specific definition in game playing theory called a strategic, I have to look it up. It's another word I can't remember. Anyway, it's a strategic game that does not rely on basically randomness to, there's no external, nothing external other than your mental faculties to play the game. Okay, here it is. Here's the Zoom link.
How many of those pieces, Joe, are unique pieces of the 17?
Depending on how many players. Okay, so if there are, unlike a traditional or here's the link. Okay, now I caution you, don't interrupt your schedule because the gentleman that runs this is a very nice man, but his technology sometimes fails. So last 2 weeks ago, I tried to get into the meeting and it wasn't working, and other people did finally get in. He had a flute player from Beijing. It was very interesting, or it would have been very interesting had I been able to get in. But I've tested the link and he does have a Zoom account, 851-8623-5827. And there's no charge or anything like that. And I do have 2 computers set up, one to display the Darwin board and another to describe the rules. And we'll see who shows up. And as long as 2 people are willing to play, we have game on. And maybe, well, I have invited the Michigan state champion for Darwin, a young man who's only played the game a few times, but he's quite good. And I've also invited the Italian champion. And I hope he shows up because this guy is amazing. He played it once and I thought that he must have seen this game or something very much like it. He didn't even have to ask any of the rules. But he said, no, he'd never seen it before. When it comes on the market, he wants to buy one. And in the hundreds of times I've played it, I've never seen anybody who was a natural like him. But I don't know if he'll be there.
Well, sounds interesting. I've never played a game such as that. So.
No, you've never seen the game. It's a brand new game.
Great.
It's not on the market. You can't buy it yet.
Okay.
And we've had
Can
to
I find
adapt.
out a little bit about it before if I join in?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll give a little spiel about how it came to be and
Okay.
what it is and how it's evolved and so on. I'll be happy to explain all that, depending on what the host of the meeting wants me to do and how he's got his time arranged.
Okay.
Because he keeps an agenda. But I'm looking forward because the boy. Mike, did you want to say something?
Bye. Having
I
you
hope-
leave.
Goodbye, Mike.
Good seeing you and talking to you.
Good to see you again.
Take care.
Keep
Bye.
counting.
I never counted much.
That was funny.
Well, this is really great. I'm glad. I wasn't sure whether you were going to be going on or not. I got up at 7, but I was too tired to get out of bed.
Yeah. I wasn't sure about it either. I thought last week I was going to, and then I ended up going to my niece's graduation get together.
Always a pleasure to have a female perspective and pretty face to show up with these ugly old men having philosophical mental masturbation going nowhere. Thank you, Adriana.
The spirit is what's important. It's the spirit. Bye.
Bye, Adriana.
Bye, Harold.
Bye, Adriana. Thank you for coming. I'm very grateful. Made my day. Made
Good.
my week. Thank you, Joel, for coming.
My pleasure. I'm glad to see you're getting better.
Always a pleasure to have you have the Toronto perspective
Yes.
and your wit and your stories. and yes, I do want to attend this evening's meetup where you'll try to have a game going on.
Yeah, we'll see if it works. We don't know. I hope it will. I think it will because we played it there once, and the guy that played it is a polyglot. He works for the diplomacy corps as a translator. He speaks about 8 or 10 languages. Very nice fella. And the organizer, whose name Yingling Shi. He runs this group for people to be able to communicate in different languages. And I have a German speaker from Los Angeles who's going to try and come. We'll just see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope to show up.
Yeah, me too.
It's
I
always,
think it's interesting.
it's always amazing to have my brilliant minds uh, uh, playing with each other.
Yeah, and it was
Something.
you that put me on to Queen's Gambit. You know, that's
Okay.
that's good. Yeah, because and then someone else got me on to Looking for Bobby Fischer. So
Oh,
there's a lot of parallels between those games and Darwin, which I'm
oh,
happy to know about. I wouldn't have known anything about it had it not been for you.
and I like to acknowledge that it was Luis Del Pino who who suggested that you got to check out Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, it was really good.
He saw something in it.
Yeah.
I used to play chess like as a teenager a little bit, and I actually picked up Bobby Fischer's paperback book that that kind of went introduces one to basic moves and makes you practice, and and I followed it, and I said, wow, there's a technique to this, and 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 I applied it, and it worked, and I started beating my brother.
Oh, good.
And I was getting bored because he was he would take too long, and I would just uh, get into patterns that I could see, and that was amazing.
Oh, interesting.
But
I never
then,
got that deeply into chess.
but then I kind of get I kind of didn't pursue it any further. I don't know why. Maybe I was getting into tennis, and I was trying to get tennis into some kind of chess, kind of see if there's some chess in it. But I think it's more uh, physical memorization and letting the body do all the work.
Yeah.
Not so much the mind.
Well, I'm going to head out, Hira. I hope to see you tonight or at some of the other meetups this afternoon. The humanists would love to see you. It's always nice to have people from out of town. It seems to make the meetings more exciting.
Yes. All right, I'll try. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Definitely, I set an alarm to jump into the 7:30 meeting for the game that Joe invented. Wow, this was a wonderful meeting with wonderful people. I'm very grateful to have participated and hosted this. Now, anyone that bothers to listen to this on YouTube and on podcast, wake up and think clearly. Will enjoy this also. Thank you. Bye.